We're here at the Assembly Outreach Centre with SDLP Assembly Member Pat Ramsey from Derry. Thanks for coming down, Pat.
Not at all.
Okay, I'll just start with the first question then. I assume you've seen the Saville inquiry came out yesterday. What do you think about the conclusions that it came to?
Well, certainly from my own perspective, I was 13 years of age, living in the heart of the bogs at the time. So there's a wound in the heart of Derry City over those almost 40 years. And certainly yesterday there was some delight and relief for the families in particular who have suffered the indignity, first of all, of losing their loved ones who were murdered in 1972. But the further atrocity to them was the Woodsbury Tribunal, who really said at those times that those people shot in Derry either had guns or bombs or involved in some way. I think it's a triumph for them in many regards. But it's also that wound in the heart of the city that's not been able to heal will be allowed to be healed certainly now. And a lot of reconciliation can take place. You know, I can I've listened to people, you know, the atrocities of Claudy bombing outside my own constituency, the atrocities of Oma. The distinct difference then, those were innocent people who lost their lives. The people who lost their lives in Derry were tarnished, their names were tarnished, because it was state-sponsored violence on that day, but it was a state-sponsored inquiry in 1972 that also said there was justifiable killings in those. So we hired the Prime Minister who very clearly, distinctively saying unjustified, unjustifiable, and truly sorry for the events. I think it was well received in the city yesterday, and I think thank God for them. But it's a wee piece of the exercise over again, you know, in terms of the shared future we're all trying to achieve.
How do you think your constituents then will view the conclusions?
Well, I think it'll be with welcoming arms, you know, and I say that in the broad spectrum. I seen yesterday with great dignity the families coming out after receiving the papers and the inquiry, and certainly, you know, it was very warm yesterday. There was a warmth of relief in them and a sigh of relief, and clearly it's circumstances where they're holding this for almost 40 years now, in a sense that it's over for them now. Obviously, there's outputs coming out of the inquiry that the prosecution service will have to look at. We know the Secretary of State will be looking at it, but I think in terms of the city, we need to move forward now. It is important. But someone who grew up in that time, you know, it was very easy for a young person that time to go that way, and it's no wonder the IRA, they built upon the awfulness that happened in the streets of Derry. Because young people, some of my own friends, had joined up, some of them lost their own lives, some of them had served time in prison. And a bloody Sunday hadn't happened. You know, God knows the situation and the present conflict may have been somewhat different.
The Saville inquiry is the longest and most expensive inquiry in British legal history, costing around £200 million. Do you think it was worth it?
Well, I think it's very hard in the circumstances to put that ultimate price on that. You know, you had 14 people lost their lives as a result of it. You know, the families didn't create the cost. In fact, the families and the people of Derry didn't gain by any money whatsoever. You know, the legal fraternity on both sides, that was the key earners of it. It's very hard to put a price on it. I do understand, I must say, those people outside of Derry who have lost loved ones. But I say that in good faith then, you know, we knew they were innocent, we knew they were victims. It's only now that we have the state through the Saville inquiry making it very, very clear that people injured or murdered on Bloody Sunday were entirely innocent.
Do you think this will be a line drawn under the issue, or do you think this will be the first in a long line of inquiries?
Well, listen, the British Prime Minister yesterday, he made it very clear that it's very difficult to sustain the public expenditure that's involved in these type of inquiries. But I do say as well, you know, people have hurts, people have wounds. We have to find a way of reconciling those hurts for the future, so that we can all be reconciled with the past, and we have to move forward. You know, there has to be a sense, and I said, whether it's a British soldier in Derry, whether it's a paramilitary, whether it's people in government at the present time, they must account for the past.
Thanks very much for coming down. It's nice to meet you.